Hi, I'm Lynn Mowson.
And I'm Bruce Mowson. Together we are m0wson and MOwson, and we made the work Feeler for Experimenta Life Forms. Our work usually begins with Lynn's sculpture, but then we think about how if we add light or sound, how that might bring the sculptures to life. And we've usually made something imaginary between the two media, because of course if you've got like sculptures and they're just kind of static and you add sound to them, it looks a bit strange. But if the sound's kind of like the speech of the sculpture, then you can kind of explore the imaginary of that subject. But we work well together. Our collaboration, it sort of grows on our marriage, and we've got corresponding skills. Lynn's kind of a genius sculptor, and I'm kind of like a mucker around with sound and video technology and light.
So I made the works for Experimenta using plasticine, and I recycle my plasticine. So this had previously been the moulds for a work called Boobscapes, and I, crush it back down and reform it. And I made these moulds so I only had 2 moulds for all the pieces I cast out. So it was quite a slow process to do the casting. You make up this. You put layers of latex on, and then I make in this layer of latex, I create these pattern surfaces that I make from moulds. So I make latex moulds of images that are inspired by microscopic images of cell cultures and pathogens and various sort of zoonotic kind of viruses. And I create these like little bits of latex that then will go onto the in-between layers of this form. There's about 8 layers of latex, and each layer takes about an hour to do, and then it takes a day to dry. So each limb has taken a week of work to produce. We were approached by the curators of Octolab, which was a laboratory of octopus aesthetics, to create a work for an exhibition that was going to be held at the Plimsoll Gallery in Hobart and then out to Germany. And the theme was octopus, and I'd been working for a long time on some pretty heavy content around kind of animal agriculture, and I thought this will be exciting. I get to kind of like look at octopuses, and they, they're quite fascinating. They're kind of really intelligent. They've got these amazing kind of abilities with their 8 arms. They can change their colour. They can change their skin texture. And also, throughout kind of, I guess, my life, I've been looking at kind of formaldehyde octopus, these kind of strange creatures of the deep that get put in jars in museums. So I was really excited to kind of get going with them. But then as the research progressed, again, my kind of like thematic topics of the exploitation of motherhood and the consumption of animals kind of came into play, because as I was watching these videos of octopus, I was constantly seeing videos of octopuses being eaten alive or being dissected alive. And so that started kind of drawing, my attention away, I guess, from the playful element into kind of the sort of life and death of octopuses and their motherhood. And the increasing attempts by the biotechnology industry to work out how to industrially farm octopus for meat. So I started working, I guess, on a number of smaller limbs, trying to work out how to make kind of the, how to make the suckers and how to develop into latex, and how to evoke some of the potentials of the octopus in terms of the way they change the shape of their body, but also reference, the problems of the biotechnology industry. So that's when, we started the conversation together about putting light into the works, and how to animate them, because they're pretty, you can't really see the patination that you see in Feeler in the gallery. when they're just on their own as skins.
When we started making the work with the light and using the LED technology, we realised it was very pretty very quickly, and we decided we'd make the work quite beguiling and kind of beautiful to look at. You know, in the gallery, all the octopuses are spread out over 3 or 4 metres, and although all the LEDs kind of work, they can be controlled independently, we used some programming to make it look like underwater currents are kind of washing through all across all the legs in one go. So it's very beautiful to stand back and look at.
Latex is a really strange material. It's quite smelly, so I always think, when you go into the environment where it's been hanging for a while, you can actually kind of it's a installation with a smell, and but people just really want to touch it. I don't know whether it's because it's a hanging thing. I've had other artworks where I've done hanging latex things, and there's something about something that moves that people kind of want to engage in it in a way that they just don't when it's on a plinth. And in some ways we've created a kind of forest for people to walk through. It's this forest of kind of limbs, and I think sometimes the magic is in walking through it, and kind of, so we're very happy with people kind of, brushing their way through, and obviously taking care. Latex is a material that gradually just completely disappears, so every time people touch it, they're kind of adding to that kind of process. Kind of all of my work gets reused or recycled, or I like to call it remembered into new works after I've finished with them. So these are the moulds, the sort of breast-like mammaries that they were interspecies mammaries. So they were both animal and human mammaries. It was a work about motherhood that worked into this work called Boobscapes. And after I finished doing that, I have squished down all of the materials and created these moulds and the moulds for the eggs, which are here. And after this work is finished, I'm keeping these moulds at the moment while the works are on tour, in case I need to produce any backup limbs for the tour. Then after that, this will all get stripped down and turned back into plasticine. The latex itself actually erodes and won't be with us for long, so these works are not works that will get acquired by museums or collectibles without a lot of work to keep them going. And so this is sort of my entire waste of my 15-year sort of practice with this material. So I keep it just to see what's happening, and it just erodes. It just gradually just kind of disappears. So latex is kind of a natural material, which doesn't mean it's not toxic. I do have to gear up quite a bit to wear it. And my other material is that I work a lot in, but not for this, for Fila, is wax. And I reuse all of the pieces. So they might start off as full human animal figures, and then they get broken down into legs, which then get broken down into hunks of meat. And then even further to that, they get broken down into wearables. So these little necklaces that you can wear with chunks of meat on.